we're going to talk about marketing and sales collaboration and how we are approaching it at Dreamdata. And we don't say that we have it perfectly figured out, but we can share all the best knowledges that we have seen working, maybe some of the things that are not working, or what did we do to make them to work as well. Together with me, I've got Stefan, the mastermind of marketing in Dreamdata. He is the best marketing person I've ever worked with. And myself, who works in sales. And how do we play ball back to each other and how do we make it work? Welcome, Stefan.
Thank you, Laura. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's a topic we talk about every single day. So as we said before, we might not have the perfect recipe, but we've tried a lot of different things.
We can see some things break. Like this event for 15 minutes was broken a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. Sometimes it has to be like this. So we will kick off our conversation about, I was thinking, making it a chat about culture to start with.
Okay.
Like, how are we mapping out, not even mapping out, how are we looking into culture for marketing and sales, and why is it at all important?
Yeah, I think it seems kind of like the first things I'm thinking about is that it seems kind of obvious that you should try to make friends across marketing and sales. It shouldn't be worlds apart. So like the easiest way to probably get people moving in the same directions is to make sure that like people treat each other nicely. They like to hang out with each other and those kind of things.
Yeah, we do like to hang out with each other a lot, and that's like one of the things that we have been doing with some activities as well, is not just the collaboration itself, but also the celebrations and so on. But how do you, okay, now when we're saying culture, so, and people should like to work with each other. Well, you hire people that are very different and they're very diverse in Dreamdata. How do you see that we're making sure that people have like kind of a, fit into the culture that we're trying to build together?
That's a tough question. I think, like, first of all, we're still at a size where we can sit in the same room,
right?
So that doesn't come on these like walls in between us. So like when a lead comes in, marketing gets equally as excited as sales do because wow, that one fit our ICP, so let's jump on it. Okay. In culture, I think it's like also like a respect for each other. Like you don't want to waste each other's time, so. Let's run a cheap cat video on LinkedIn to get us some leads, and then give Laura these like 100 leads to a cat video, and then she can waste all her time on that. So like I think like one of the first things, both in sales and marketing is to just respect each other, so you can like you don't what do you say? Like if you put shit into the machine, you should expect shit to come out of it as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Zainab, for saying Laura can close on the cat videos. No, please don't send me the cat video form fills. And that's the thing as well. When people are ranting about, oh, MQLs are not working and they're like, let's not gate anything. And what if I could just easily get you 100 leads and then sales would be busy for a week. If I get 100 leads in that week from Stefan, I'm shit busy because I'm going to be closing a lot of clients within the time that it takes to close a client at Dreamdata because the leads are working very well. And that's what we're going to talk about, the marketing qualified leads, sales accepted, sales qualified lead, and so on. But to continue on the culture so far, can you cover the meetings that we're having together?
Yeah, so that's a little bit also like week on week. We at the sales meetings, marketing is always present. So when they discuss the sales pipeline, marketing listens in, which is, it seems so obvious, but like marketing needs to hear what deals are coming in, what is the good things that are going on, what are the bad things that are going on. Yeah. Sometimes you guys talk about, hey, now we're up against this competitor. And then like in a marketing brain, you want to translate that into, is there any piece of content that I can develop that will make it a little bit more painful for that competitor? Yep. How do they store their data? Is it actually stored within the European Union? If not, then you maybe want to go ask that competing product about it. And then I think that's the kind of way you want to, marketing should listen into the sales world, and the sales people should listen into what kind of, like typically marketing can help amplify stuff, but it's sales who have that kind of first-hand experience about what's going on. Another thing we also talked about is like Jeremy's on the call as well, but Jeremy listens into sales calls as well for when he's doing content. So he learns the lingo of what is what is the customers actually saying. But I think overall it comes to you as a company regarding, do you think the customer cares that you have different departments doing different things? Absolutely not. They're all just seeing one journey. Like they saw this ad, now they entered this, email automation, then they book a demo. Like they don't care at all whether you think you're in sales or you're in marketing. They have just one experience, and I think this is the mindset that we have as well. Like it's just one journey. Some people works on the last part of the journey, some people works on the first part of the journey.
This one is really cool because I don't often think about it, but now you've pointed it out. It's like when I get a lead, I know what has happened with that specific lead. Which form did they fill out? What kind of keywords did they come through? And at the same time that I know what kind of experience they're getting from the other side, from the marketing, have they been nurtured or anything like that? And like when I sell to them, then I also know that it's not just me and them giving them the experience, but they had already gone through a specific experience with us as a company as well. That's cool.
Yeah, I just keep my thoughts keep going back to kind of the ideal customer profile, because it matters so much that marketing and sales and like the whole company has established an ideal customer profile, which means that when we in marketing do activities, we should try to attract these people.
Yeah.
You in sales should not jump on a lead that doesn't look like an ideal customer profile, because you know that it's going to be hard to close. They're probably not even going to be happy if you get them to convince to sign a deal anyway.
Yeah.
And the CS is just left with a mess, because you shouldn't actually have sold to these guys. So if everybody agrees, these are the people we should sell to, then marketing go find audiences and create content that fits this. And sales spend their time chasing the ones that actually fits that profile.
This is beautiful, because I remember at the beginning when I joined Dreamdata and we did some outbound. We don't do that much anymore. But when we did outbound, I booked some meetings. I'm crazy happy. So, I booked a meeting and now I'm going to go do demos and everything. And then there comes Stefan and says, it doesn't look completely like an ICP. I'm like, yeah, but sales, closing calls and everything and closing meetings. Not really, because we have to be aligned on the full customer journey. And as long as marketing is aware of that and pushing the same message over to sales, then that disalignment will disappear very slowly. It's a lot of education. I joined, and it's not of the bad will that I really want to sell at the beginning, but maybe you want to sell slow to the specific clients that you actually can deliver very good value over to. And then that communication floats all the time. So whenever we get a very nice ICP book in a demo, then this is the first person to jump. It's like, yes, no, go work.
And I remember the other day you closed the deal that started from paid Capterra. So I was like, yes, now I have my return on ad spend there. And I think this is like what B2B marketers sometimes tend to forget, that the absolute key to return on ad spend with B2B ads is that the salespeople actually wins the deals.
Yeah.
So if you're like pouring bad quality leads, then you're never going to have return on ad spend. So there just needs to be this constant alignment. Also, like, we work very tightly with our product teams as well. And we have this ideal customer profile of a B2B SaaS company at the moment. And if we started to walk outside of this range, then we would need different integrations. You would need maybe other certifications, like the whole thing just, gets so defocused.
Yeah.
And like, we need to run in the same direction, all of us. And I think, ideal customer profile is just something that you need to define in your company to be effective with your resources.
That's key. Absolutely. Are there any learnings, Stefan, that you think that we decided not to focus on, or maybe we tried out and, that shit failed, we're not going to do it again?
I think with like also that's also the fun part of startup life is that you experiment all the time.
Yeah.
Like this is an experiment that it didn't go
almost
live.
working.
Yeah, but like per my experience, it's actually the most important thing is that you try a lot of stuff and don't put all your eggs in the same basket before you actually know that it works. So like now we're trying this, it works, so let's try to do more of it. One thing that I'm thinking about in relation to the ideal customer profile is that it was actually easier for us to start out with an anti-ideal customer profile. So saying it's at least not these people we should talk to, and it's not these people that we should talk to. And then like little by little, then you move closer towards something where you can actually express what's an ideal customer profile.
That's cool. That's cool. I want to jump into another topic of measurements, but before that, I will just check if we've got some chat's question. Jeremy's asking, is there a password? There's no password, Jeremy. Everybody can attend. That's okay.
But yeah, please do ask questions. Like we can do Q&A. We have prepared a lot of things to talk about, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Exactly. So just post anything you like, preferably in the chat so it doesn't get way too busy. But we've got one question. Often sales want marketing to help them close a specific deal. How does marketing convince sales that marketing efforts should be more focused on a bigger scale instead of assisting in closing individual deals?
So maybe the person who wrote this could maybe specify what you mean. What could be an example of this thing? I think it's when you do marketing, you need to listen to the salespeople, and then you need to translate it into how can we use this in marketing. So is it a comparison between us and a different technology? Then how can we write that down? Are people asking a lot of questions about security during a sales process? Then maybe we want to produce a really nicely looking security page.
I have a vague idea of what that might be, and it falls a little bit back to like the older view into what marketing is. When I used to work for enterprises, marketing used to do a lot of nice pictures and nice slides. And when I'm in the sales process and say, oh, I need to create this flow chart and I have a vague idea how to do it, marketing, come and help me. And this is not the modern way to do marketing, really. I think it might be what you were asking for.
Yeah. No, it's, I guess that's also true. That's, there's also some companies are just traditionally sales-led. It's just the salespeople who gets to dictate everything.
Yeah.
And for them, they just want, that's maybe a little bit stereotype, but they just want pretty slides when they talk to customers.
Yeah.
In our company, we regard marketing as something, that starts all the journeys, and then the salespeople finish the journeys. And then a designer is just something that all of us utilizes to make sure we look good and professional here and there.
That's could be right. We've got questions about content.
Keep them coming.
We like the questions about content because this is a big topic here at Dreamdata. Do you work with sales to produce content that addresses ICP pain points? And if so, how close is the collaboration?
It's extremely close. When Jeremy started, I think he started, how long have you been here now, Jeremy? 1.5 years or something like that.
Yes, you forgot the Twitter password.
The North Star for everything Jeremy produced the first year or so was just, what's Laura saying? What's Sanders saying? What are we hearing in the demo calls? Because also, like when you have salespeople who start in a company that sells something relatively complex, you cannot like get your salespeople to understand your technology as deep as your CTO does. So you need content that supports the frequently asked questions from the customers. And so like we started out just with having a prioritized list of frequently asked questions in sales conversations that Jeremy then had to write answers to. And he can then it's okay to spend a week writing a really good answer to it. What's the difference between account-based marketing and revenue attribution? Well, a salesperson can spend a week answering that, but somebody who writes content can actually afford to do it because then you can repeat that blog post to many people.
Yeah. And the way I see it, to picking up like the ball game from between marketing and sales, we produce some of the information of what do we want to answer as questions. Jeremy writes the post, and then we actually distribute that even further, not just as a newsletter, but I use that for LinkedIn all the time. So it becomes kind of a topic of that specific time, let's say 2 weeks or something, that we talk about like sales and marketing alignment because Jeremy produced a post, and then like it ripples out throughout the big blue internet.
I'm also kind of just from a lazy approach. Why not answer all the questions that people might have before they come to you? Then you can have a conversation about where to put the signature rather than like having to explain everything all over again.
There is that beautiful book called They Ask You Answer, and everything is there. It's kind of, you have to make sure your website answers everything your prospects might be asking for. And then when they meet sales, they're actually qualified, they're ready to buy, and sales just needs to go in and close it.
Yeah. I think that Tristan put a really good one here, is that what happens when sales start seeing the quality of MQLs is going down? How do you look at this together and solve it together? I think this is really where people need to get into the same room and describe, who have I been talking to lately? Why is this bad? Then marketing needs to come to confessions and investigate the customer journeys that these guys have been attracted through. Are we spending money the wrong way? Is it the wrong campaigns? Are our positioning sliding towards something that it shouldn't be? So I think like a practical way to be doing it is looking at what meetings did you have? What's the last 20 meetings you had?
Yeah.
Were they good or bad? You say they're bad. Okay, let's look at the journeys that these 20 meetings took, and why and did this end up being a meeting at all?
It's really awesome. Wait, we don't go into the next questions right now because this is a very good time to talk about the measures, because you're talking about the customer journeys and so on. But can you explain the process of our pipeline? How does it look, and why do you think it's working in the collaboration between marketing and sales?
So I think actually I was thinking about before this that anybody involved in revenue should know at least the 3 or 4 main conversion rates throughout the sales funnel. So when you win a deal, how many sales qualified opportunities do you need to win a deal? For us, it's 1 out of 3. Depends on the quality you have. And then from to produce a deal, then we have like 3 sales qualified opportunities. To produce those, we need normally, I think, 5 sales acceptable leads. So that's 3 times 5. So now we need 15 sales qualified leads. And I think the conversion rate between MQL and sales acceptable is 50%. So to produce a deal, we need 30 MQLs that produces 1 deal.
Yeah.
And Laura needs to know this to know her average, whether her performance is dropping or not. But also when we're trying to hit our MQL targets, that should be not a siloed thing, but it should be connected to what did your CFO or your CEO put in the sales budget.
Yeah.
So you have this relationship between, I know as a marketing team, I've produced, and coming back to where we started, I think actually one of the most fair measurements you can have of marketing is sales acceptable leads, because that means the demand that you are creating looks like what you've agreed that you should go get.
Exactly.
And then that passes over to sales opportunities, and then won deals. I know you always talk about you should be measured on revenue, but the way I regard it is that we know the conversion rate from each funnel. So if I at the length of where I can control things, which is probably until sales accepted. I don't know if you have a bad day and you have the demo call, then I cannot control that. So I can completely control that, or at least as far as humanly possible, control that the leads that are coming in are acceptable by the salespeople.
Yep, absolutely.
If you guys are measured on different things in your company, please write it as well.
Yep. I think this one is very exciting. The one about sales accepted leads and sales qualified and all that. So we go further into the question saying that, do you often use the negative way of making a persona or in some other situations? Because we all know it's much easier to come up with negative rather than positive personas for targeting.
I think, I agree. It's a lot easier to say, no, it's not that. No, it's not that. So if you have a hard time getting started on personas and ideal customer profiles, etc., just start writing down what is bad fits. bad technologies, bad regions, bad industries, etc. Then at least when a lead comes in, you pull up this negative list, and then you look, okay, does it fit the negative list? Okay, then I don't spend time on it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's actually very interesting education for sales as well, because when marketing comes up with the personas, sales also would know, like, if that specific persona is booking a meeting with you, you have to do extra qualification because they might just be curious about to get answered some questions instead of actually getting into the sales process. So you don't waste your time. Of course, you want to meet the people who want to meet with you, but maybe you don't want to push on the next steps to use your time on that specific persona.
Yeah, I remember actually now that our ICP converts 3x better from a sales qualified lead to a one deal than an averagely looking sales qualified lead.
Yeah.
So this is also for both marketing and sales needs to understand that. So if Laura wants to be effective with her time, she works mostly on those who normally converts better.
Exactly. And talking about ICPs, there was another question saying that, is it better to narrow and expand or start broad and then narrow when you start?
Good question. And so million thoughts in my mind right now.
It's okay.
But for like low practical running ads, it's easier to be very narrow and specific about what you do. Because then you make sure that when you spend your money, it's being spent towards those you know. But it also depends on like the stage your company is at. Like, how long have you been around? How well do you know your audience? We had to start broad when you started.
From the beginning, you sell to all your friends and fools and family, and then it's like you narrow it down.
Oh, this didn't work. Oh, this didn't work.
Exactly.
And then little by little, so like, if I had a choice, I would always be very specific about the ideal customer profile. But you probably have to work your way in from an antithesis or some sort.
Yes. We've got a question from Amy. I feel like when sales and marketing is done right, they're a happy married couple. Both have different roles, but ultimately they have the same goals and work as a team to achieve them. Oh my God. Imagine the babies.
Yeah. But it is kind of like, you represent just one company. Who cares which department or what title you have? We just need to produce as much revenue as possible. You have some skills, I have other skills, and that's at least how I think about it.
Exactly.
Also, the company can only spend its money once. Sometimes you need to invest more into creating the demand. If there's too much demand, you would rather spend that on another salesperson than buying more demand.
Yeah.
So like you can only spend your money once, and that's, I think, one of the arguments for why you really need to understand what's going on.
This is very beautiful. Yeah, and it calls for a pitch. It's like, how do you do that, Stefan, actually? How do you measure that out?
So I think some of the things we are also like, you have your monthly quotas, but you also need to sleep an average of 8 hours per day. And then you work approximately 8 hours per day as well. So if you only have 8 hours available, how many, accounts can you humanly handle?
Yeah.
And if the demand is more than you and Sander and Ines can handle, then you probably want to hire another salesperson rather than pushing more money into Google's search ads.
Very good.
So you need to know the kind of like the capacity of a salesperson. I think we've also been in periods where you guys have been, you have had too much demand, and then quality of the meetings also go down. And that's where you want to hire more sales than spend more on marketing.
That's a very good point. Nice. Does anybody have any other questions now? We are almost rounded up half an hour of our event, finally. But we would love to answer any questions that you might have and would like to have a chat about. I'm going to sit in the awkward silence for half a minute. Nope. I mean, we're out there on LinkedIn when it works on the best of its hours. And then we're going to run more events like that. You can always reach out to us. You can always ask, or we can, create another event like that if you have some questions, so everybody can have a chance to join in. And
yeah. Can I say one last thing?
Of course, you can say many more. Like until we close this.
No one is stopping us. I think it's everybody needs to take responsibility for this.
Yeah.
It's not on the CEO, or it's not on sales, it's not on marketing. It's everybody who needs to take the responsibility. If you don't know which leads your salespeople like, then walk into the room, invite them for a beer. If you as a salesperson experience that the leads are not of a high enough quality, go tell marketing, go tell them what a good lead looks like. And if you got off on a bad note, buy a beer and get it over with again. So I just kind of take extreme responsibility for everything being aligned. This, I think, my best advice.
That is very nice. The beer solution I like. Jeremy, you're going to get your beer very soon. And by the way, after this, we're actually going to the restaurant to celebrate how our quarter has gone with our social selling activities. And that's also one of the things that we're actively doing between sales and marketing is we're active on social. All the full commercial team is active on social, doing their best of their own possibilities to create demand.
Tristan is writing that it's a problem they don't drink enough at his company.
No, really? Marketing team doesn't drink. Well, you don't have to drink. We also do other things than drink. We eat burgers and whatever else. So, all right, everybody, pleasure to meet you all. See you another time.